How to clean a Glock 19 from Big Dick Ballistics. Mahalo everybody, Big Daddy here, Big Dick Ballistics coming at you today with how to clean a Glock safe action pistol. My name's Big Daddy. I'm a police firearms instructor in the biggest department in the nation, here to bring you gun and gear reviews with that big dick energy. We have a lot of good stuff coming out for 2025. Also, check out my friends. Their links will be below. Medicine in Bad Places, the Rusty Cuffs Podcast, Dudes Gourmet, and Goldberg and McEnany. Since the inception of the concealed carry permits here in New York State, I've been teaching and I've been doing private classes just by word of mouth. I've had upwards of around 250 to 300 students so far. And I must say, they've all been asking me, hey, can you please do a video on how to clean? You know, we really want to know how to clean. And I always talk about Glocks and their reliability. So today we're going to clean this pig. All right, now before we get into it, all right, I haven't touched this thing in years, okay? So safe direction, safety, there's no safety, so I keep my booger hook off the bang switch. Source, all right, look inside, feel inside, there's nothing in the magwell. And I gotta check that chamber, so I lock that slide to the rear and perform a good visual and physical inspection, and it's safe, clear, and empty. So today we're gonna do a basic field strip and cleaning, right? But I have some interesting stuff that was sent out to me from ProShot. ProShot makes outstanding gun cleaning products. We have a CLP here. We have a carbon cutter here. We have a fouling bore cleaner, bore blaster. We have another CLP. And we have another CLP, mil spec. So obviously they come in different shapes, sizes, formats, okay? We also have some patches that they gave us. We're gonna clean this Glock with these products. Now, they have a lot of cool different stuff. They sent me out targets, rifle kits, etc. But I'm just using the pistol stuff today because we're specifically cleaning this Glock 19 Gen 2. So a little bit background behind this Glock. First of all, I think Gen 2 Glock 19s are amazing because they're simple, right? They're slick. They have no finger grooves. They're slick in the front underneath the dust cover. They're just a really good EDC gun. Now for New York, where you're limited to 10 rounds, a Glock 19 for a civilian, although good, it's like a Civic, it works every time, right? It's just not practical. I'd rather go with a 43X or a P365, something where I have a little less mass and a little more thinness to that frame. First of all, we need PPE, right? Personal protective equipment. So usually in the past, I was kind of reckless. I didn't glove up to love up, but I needed tactility when I was inspecting for BMW, right? Broken, missing, or worn parts. You should be wearing eye pro. I don't, but again, if anything splashes back up at your eyes, it could be a bad day. All this stuff is pretty caustic for the most part. We talked about clearing out the weapon system, right? We want to have no ammo, no magazines around us, and we also want to be in a spot that could defeat that round if it potentially goes off negligently, right? So I'm in my garage right now, headquarters to the Big Dick Battalion, obviously. Right, below me is a concrete surface and there's literally nothing around me. It's a detached garage. So God forbid if anything went off, my chickens would get shot through the sheetrock wall. When you're taking down a Glock, right, the most dangerous part is you have to pull the trigger. All right, so we have to depress it with significant force. All right, so we'll let that slide go forward on an empty chamber, pull it. We'll press down on those unlocking tabs and we'll get to work. What I'm gonna do first, I'm gonna remove that recoil spring assembly. And again, I'm looking for BMW, right? Broken, missing, or worn parts. So I move that recoil spring assembly across the table and it's not wobbling, it's not bound up, right? So it's good to go. Now, again, if it does wobble a little, sometimes the springs, they are compressed and they're a little off kilter, but you don't have to worry about that. Next, I'm gonna look inside that barrel. I'm going to look inside, hold it up to a source of light, and make sure there's no obstructions inside. So this is pretty crudded up. You could see underneath the lug that there's a lot of residue on there. So again, we put that off to the side as well. I'm also going to take that slide, right? I'm going to press down on this firing pin safety, and I'm going to give it a little shake. And I should hear that thing free floating on the inside, all right? I'll also look at the extractor right here and make sure it's not chipped, make sure it's still springing, Make sure it's still rigid when pressing on it. All right, you can see that extractor recoiling back to where it's supposed to go. I then look at the sights. I make sure that they're straight through, and I go ahead and ground that. Okay, now I look at the frame. This is all gunked up in here, but it's pretty good. ProShot's amazing. They have great military and law enforcement discounts, first responder discounts. It's on their website. Go ahead, check out. You could sign up for them. Now, they have much more than this, but this is what I have for the pistols right now. So copper solvent, usually you use this first on U.S. service rifles and stuff like that. But for today's purposes, I just have it out because we were shooting jacketed hollow points through it. So first things first, we need to get an appropriately sized cleaning rod. Now this is a Montana Extreme. It's very nice. I have a fresh bore brush on here from Hops. And again, I'm going off of what I was just given. So I got to break up the fouling inside this barrel. So what I need to do, I need to put some kind of cleanser on there. Now we have a variety of stuff. Right now I'm not concerned with copper fouling like I would be in a U.S. service rifle. And the selling point to these products is there's no odor, right? It's like carbon monoxide, odorless, colorless, tasteless gas, okay? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put some patches down, all right? These are nice flannel cotton patches. I'm going to put it over the brush. You could use a dip tin. You could use a shot glass, whatever you want. And I'm just going to hose this thing down, okay? Now, CLP stands for Clean, Lubricates, and Protects, all right? What I'm going to do, all right, from back to front, I'm just going to work this through. And you could see, all right, that's what this pad is for. You should always be cleaning over some old newspaper or something that's going to absorb, okay? Now, you can see this was a brand new brush, and look at all the crap that's coming off of it, okay? So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to sit, and I'm going to let this stuff do its job, all right? It's less work for me at the end of the day if the cleanser does its job. Now, underneath that locking lug, all right, there's some goop over there. I'm just going to put a little bit of solvent on there, all right, CLP rather, and I'm just going to go scrape whatever's on here. Now, if you have a lot of buildup on the feed ramp, all right, where that bullet seats into the chamber, you're going to have to hit that with a pick, all right? But again, I let this stuff sit on here. Now, again, you could use it to break down the carbon as well as lube. I like to do different steps, all right? And smelling this, I really don't smell anything. I'm not overwhelmed. I'm not overpowered by it. So I'm going to let this sit. I use this brush. It's a military USGI style cleaning brush, but you could use anything. If you checked out my other Harbor Freight video, you could see you could get these for under $1 a piece. These nylon bristle, brass coated bristle brushes, okay? And it's good for scrubbing and breaking up stuff. But now when it comes to the slide, I don't want to spread too much solvent around, CLP, whatever you want to call it, oil, because it can end up binding up this firing pin channel right here. And that's crucial. That could give you a click, no bang at the end of the day. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take some patches, all right, and these have solvent on them. And I'm very stingy with this stuff. And I'm just going to start to wipe. Start to wipe away, all right, whatever's on top. Wipe away the big stuff. And you could already see there's less buildup, less residue, okay? But now we're going to go a step further. We have to get into these channels. These are Southern Bloomer Co. I know that ProShot does have them, but they didn't send me them. So what you could do, you could put these in a vise, clamp them down, and they'll fit better into these rail sections. But what we're going to do, so I use this CLP. What I'm going to do, I'm going to try this fouling blaster because there's a lot on here. And this is cool because it's got a straw that you don't have to worry about losing. Okay, so what I'm going to do, since I don't want the stuff to go everywhere, just like that, see how this comes out? That's much thinner, so that's good. It'll get into these crevices. And look at that, folks. It's just taking everything out, making everything more accessible. And this doesn't really smell either. So what I want to do, all these spots, okay, get in there and get all this stuff out. And this stuff is good too because it's very quick drying. So you're going to go through a lot with cleaning stuff, okay? You're going to go through a lot of toothpicks, patches, rags, solvent. You got to get the job done at the end of the day. You can't be stingy with this stuff, but you got to get the most out of it because time is money and this stuff is money. All right. So again, this slide, we really want to go to town on it. Make sure there's no buildup of gunk. All right. Again, if I was using the scrub brush to get inside there, it would be blowing all the stuff into this weep hole. It would go directly into the firing pin channel, and also it would go into that slide. We clean out that whole interior of the slide, and then we set that down. Again, I like to start from top to bottom. So then what I do, I take some patches, I fold them over, and these are very thick. These will accommodate any style handgun caliber, all right, and also your smaller diameter shotgun. So 410 bore, 20 gauge, 12 gauge, 28 gauge, even 16 gauge, all right. So I'm just twisting that, and it's getting in between here. These flat face springs are great. However, all right, they do require lube, all right, to run properly. If not, they're just going to be stringy. So you can see all that residue that's left over. So now we'll put that off to the side. So to get into these channels, all right, we have what's called a needle oiler. Now this is a CLP, okay? Again, cleans, lubricates, protects, odorless, right? But it's got a needle oiler, so you get into those hard to reach spots. So, and this is a high quality one. It's a little thinner, okay? But what we're going to do now, we're going to get down in here, all right, where all this buildup is. And now this almost looks like the same process as you're oiling it up at the end. But again, I don't want any issues. And you can see it's not really that fouled up, considering we use 700 rounds of plus P jacketed hollow points, right? So what I want to do, now I could start with a bigger surface area of a rig, but I'd rather get in there and mop all this stuff up. And that's why I like using quality stuff. Microfiber cloths, oversized Q-tips, like Dr. Veterinary Q-tips. I want gun-related stuff because gun-related stuff is for guns. And I know that sounds stupid, but, you know, you're not using motor oil in your firearm, all right? Using gun oil, which is essentially mineral oil. You don't need all those excess detergents like a car does because you're not running at such high RPMs and high heat. But if that's all you got, use it, all right? So again, this will be never ending, all right? But we have to do our due diligence because it's life-saving equipment at the end of the day, all right? Also, it's expensive to go to the range, right? Time is money, targets are money, ammo is money, especially in New York State now where you have to pay for a background check for a box of ammo, whether it's one box or a case of 1,000. So again, I just keep going till it looks less wet, less fouled up. And the good thing is, especially with nickel-plated guns, brushed stainless guns, you could see where the carbon fouling is all the time. My frame, my fire control group, that's looking good. Now I'm going to go back to the top. I have a microfiber cloth. And again, I've had 1, 2, 3 bottles of this stuff open. All right. And it's good. All right. I don't smell anything. And this stuff came out with a lot of force. So you could really just hold this over a garbage can and just blast the crap out of the gun if it's really messed up. I like this straw that just tucks away, but I'll give you a better example. To give you a better example of how you could be lazy, again, try and get everything to go out the back to the front. And again, it's just pulling everything out with it, gravity doing its thing. And the volume on this can is pretty significant. It's big, all right? So you're getting your money's worth when it comes to these cleaning products, and a little goes a long way. It really does. This dries very quick too. So to me, it almost feels like a brake cleaner, carburetor cleaner with some lubrication in it. Before we put this back together, I'm gonna run one more patch down the bore. Okay, that way sopping up whatever stuff we left behind, and I'll show you. Now, I don't have a cleaning jag on me, but I'm gonna run it over the actual brush, and you'll be able to see how nasty this thing is. And it's good running it over the brush because it gets a lot of surface area. So you literally only need to really do one pass. And notice how I'm taking it out like that because I don't want to run any contaminants back through. And again, that was one pass. As far as lubrication goes, all right, we're using this other CLP now from ProShot Defense. It's got a cage number, so it's equivalent to an NSN number, national stock number. What we want to do, all right, we want to start from top to bottom like we were before. So lubricating a Glock, less is more, right? And if you ever run into a problem with any of these weapon systems, they usually could be solved with just lube. So a pea-sized dot right on there, and we're going to rub all around, get along the crown of the barrel, just like that. All right, these don't need to be dripping wet like your mom, all right, to function appropriately, okay? So now we're going to drop that back into the gutter, all right into that slide channel, all right? We have that recoil spring assembly. What I like to do, because gravity does its thing, I like to do a few drops right across the top, and then I flip it over. This thing's going to be held ejection port up. So when I flip it over, all that oil is going to come back down. All right, so now I'm going to use this oiler because I don't need the volume of oil from the tube of CLP. I just need some precision type oiling. So right here on the two front rails, I'll do it right over here on the locking block. I'll do it on the firing pin safety release, on the trigger bar. I'll do it a little on the ejector, do a little on the sear surface, the cruciform where it meets the connector, all right, and that back rail. And that's literally it, guys. Again, less is more with these weapon systems, all right? I'm gonna put it back onto the slide while maintaining, all right, discipline, okay? While maintaining muzzle discipline. And then I'm just gonna wipe down the outside. What we're gonna have to do, since we got it together, is a functions test. So keeping in a safe direction, and again, making sure there's no source of ammo, right? I let that slide go forward. I love using the slide catch slide release, but you could do whatever you want, 4 fingers over the top. Go ahead and pull the trigger. You hear and feel that audible visual click, right? You're gonna keep your trigger finger pinning the trigger to the rear. You know, let the slide go to the rear, let it go forward, and you know, let that trigger go forward, and you should feel tactility, right? A reset, a click, and you'll hear it. That means the gun is properly assembled. So again, guys, that's your Glock, all right? Using ProShot products. So needle oiler, again, for precision stuff. You have your military grade stuff, which, listen, all weather is very important. Your copper cutter, all right, when we do an AR-15 video or an M1A video, all right, our cotton flannel patches, amazing. And look, proof's in the pudding, guys. We used one, and it got the bore ultra clean, all right? It did its job, all right? But it couldn't have done its job without the bore cleaner, all right, doing its job. And then we have this other stuff from ProShot Defense. Again, it's good stuff. It's meant to work. All right. Here's our blaster. Again, it says you don't even need to take the gun apart to use it. It all depends on your circumstances and whatever you're comfortable doing. Oh, my take on these products, it's just another option that you have. But the fact of the matter is, I haven't passed out. I'm in a building with no ventilation, no nothing. And my nose isn't irritated. My eyes aren't irritated. I don't feel lightheaded at all. That's a plus for me. So I have a detached garage, and I could do this in my kitchen, and my kids, my spouse wouldn't feel anything. They wouldn't know anything. Give them a shot. Like I said, first responder, military LE discounts on their website, ProShot. Again, thank you to Carl, who wished to remain nameless. I can't thank you enough for, giving me all this stuff to demo with. Again, guys, life-saving equipment. Now, just because I didn't take down a 320 or a 365 or whatever's out there, doesn't mean the same steps don't apply. Safety is everything, right? Every weapon system has its own manual of arms, its own takedown, right? But this is America's handgun, even though it's from Austria, now made in Georgia, right? So again, guys, stay tuned. New videos to come for 2025. If you've been with me since 2021, God bless you and thank you so much for your support. Check out BigDickBallistics.com, my Shopify account. I have nice hoodies, t-shirts on there. Also check out my Instagram, Big D Ballistics LLC. I'm going to start posting classes for the year 2025. So remember, guys, educate yourselves, educate your family, and always remember, vote the right way. Stay safe.